stepmother made me pay rent in my own house while her kids lived there rent-free. My stepmom said I needed to pull my weight and pay $850 rent in the house I legally own. I let her talk, let her smirk. Then I dropped the deed on the table and said, "Actually, I live here. You're the tenant." Her face when she called my dad and he confirmed it, I'll never forget it. The day I found out the house was legally mine started like any other, long, quiet, and filled with chores nobody else wanted to do. My name's Malik. I'm 22, trying to get through mechanical engineering classes while working part-time at an auto shop in Southwest Houston. My mom passed when I was 8, and after that, it was just me and my dad, plus my grandparents, who moved in to help raise me. They were good people, real salt-of-the-earth types. Didn't say much, but when they did, it mattered. They bought the house we live in, this modest 3-bedroom brick home with creaky floors and a backyard that floods if it rains too long. After they passed away, I assumed everything reverted to my dad. I never questioned it, not until a stray piece of mail arrived with my name listed as the property owner. I thought it was a mistake. I even laughed, but after pulling the records myself and calling the title office, I found out it wasn't. They put the house in my name after they passed, quietly, like they knew what might come. And they were right. After they died, my dad changed. Or maybe he'd always been like this and just didn't show it before. 2 years ago, he married Denise, a walking perfume ad in heels who called herself a real estate agent, but mostly just lounged in the kitchen with a wine glass and loud opinions. Along came her grown kids, Damon, who's 25 and hasn't worked a full week in 3 years, and Kiara, who spends every waking minute documenting her life on TikTok like she's famous. It didn't happen overnight, but over time, I became the outsider in my own home. Denise had a way of suggesting things that sounded more like commands. She started with the laundry, then trash duty, then mopping the floors and washing the dog she brought home for emotional support, but didn't clean up after. Damon? Kiara? They never lifted a finger. They lounged on the couch while I cooked. They left dishes in the sink for me to scrub. And somehow, Denise always had a reason why they shouldn't be pressured. They're still finding themselves, she'd say with that dismissive smile. You're more focused, Malik. You can handle a little more responsibility. What was I supposed to say? I was living in my dad's house, or so I thought. And he never backed me up. If anything, he got quieter. I think he just wanted peace. Or maybe he liked having someone else do the heavy lifting. I kept my head down. I went to school. I worked long shifts at the shop. I tried not to make waves. But every time I came home to a sink full of someone else's mess or heard Kiara laughing through the walls while I struggled to focus on my homework, a little more resentment stacked up. So when I opened that letter and saw my name listed on the deed, something shifted. It was like I finally had leverage. Like the universe was telling me, you're not crazy. They really have been using you. I didn't say anything right away. I folded the letter, slid it into a folder, tucked it in my drawer. But I knew. The day was coming when I'd use it. And when I did, no one in this house would see it coming. It was a Thursday night, and I'd just finished a 10-hour shift at the shop, grease still on my knuckles and the smell of brake fluid baked into my skin. My whole body ached. I was already picturing the plate of leftovers waiting in the fridge when I walked through the front door. Instead, I found Denise at the kitchen counter like a snake waiting in the tall grass, wine glass in hand. That same fake smile that made my stomach twist. "Hey, Malik, got a minute?" Her voice was sweet, too sweet. I set down my backpack. "Sure, what's up?" She glanced toward the hallway to make sure we were alone, then gestured to the stool across from her. "Sit down. This won't take long." I didn't sit. She sipped her wine like she was on a reality show. "So, your father and I have been talking, and we think it's time you start paying rent." I blinked. "Rent?" "Yes," she said, way too casually. "You're an adult now. You've got a job. It's time to pull your weight like everybody else." My jaw clenched. "And by everybody else, you mean?" "Well," she said with a smirk, "Damon and Kiara are still figuring things out. Damon's working on his Twitch channel. Kiara's building her online brand. It's a different kind of work." I stared at her. "So I go to school full-time, work part-time, do all the chores in this house, and now you want me to pay rent while they get to figure things out?" She set the glass down with a gentle clink. "You're old enough to contribute. That's all we're saying. $850 a month, plus utilities." I laughed. It just came out. This short, sharp laugh I didn't plan. $850. It's fair, she said, as if she'd already practiced this in the mirror. And honestly, with everything this house offers, it's a steal. Everything this house offers. Like it was some upscale apartment she personally curated. I felt my pulse in my jaw, my temple. But at the same time, something in me went calm, not passive, clear. Like everything had finally aligned. "Right?" I said slowly. "So $850 a month, plus utilities. And I'm guessing you still want me to take out the trash and fix the Wi-Fi every time Kiara forgets the password." "Well, yeah," she said, waving her hand like that part was obvious. "You live here, don't you?" I nodded. "Yeah, I do live here." She smiled like she'd won something. "Great. Rent's due on the 1st. I picked up my backpack and slung it over my shoulder. "You'll get an answer from me real soon." She narrowed her eyes. "Is that a yes?" I turned back at the edge of the kitchen. "You'll find out." Because now I had a plan. A real one. And the next time Denise tried to lord this house over me, I was going to drop a truth bomb big enough to flip the entire foundation. I wasn't just done being their servant. I was done pretending they had any power at all. 2 days later, I called a family meeting. I waited until everyone was home, Damon in his usual spot on the couch, headset on, shouting into his mic, Kiara on the kitchen island scrolling through her phone like it was her full-time job, and Denise flitting around like she ran a Fortune 500 company instead of a chaotic house she barely cleaned. I stood in the doorway of the living room. Can I talk to everyone for a minute? Denise glanced up, clearly annoyed. What is it, Malik? I'm expecting a call. It won't take long, I said. Just need a few minutes. All of us. She exchanged a look with Damon and Kiara, then sighed and stood. Fine. Let's make it quick. They shuffled into the living room. Damon didn't even take off his headset at first. Kiara held her phone up like she was filming B-roll for her followers. I stayed standing while they all sat down. I've been thinking about what you said the other night, I began, looking at Denise. She folded her arms, smug. Good. Because we weren't joking. Damon chuckled. About time you paid up, bro. You've been living here for free long enough. Kiara tilted her head. Wait, is this like an apology speech or something? I ignored them. So you want me to pay $850 in rent? I continued calmly. Plus utilities. While I'm working part-time, going to school full-time, and still doing most of the work around here. Denise smiled like she was being interviewed. Yes, exactly. Thank you for understanding. I nodded. Yeah, see, that's not gonna happen. The room went quiet. Denise blinked. Excuse me. I'm not paying rent, I said plainly. Because this house? It doesn't belong to you, or Dad, or anyone else in this room. I reached into my backpack and pulled out a manila envelope. It belongs to me. Damon snorted. What? Man, get out of here. Kiara raised her phone higher. Yo, he's really trying it. Denise laughed. Actually laughed. That's cute. You think because you get a little job at the mechanics you own the place now? I opened the envelope and pulled out the papers. My name is on the title. You can look it up. It was transferred to me after my grandparents passed. They put it in my name before they died. You can call the county office if you don't believe me. Denise stood up. That's a lie. Call Dad, I said. Put him on speaker. Her lips curled. Fine. She yanked out her phone and dialed. The ring echoed through the room. Then he picked up. Hey babe, he said. You need to tell Malik to stop with this nonsense, she snapped. He's claiming the house belongs to him. There was a pause. Then his voice came through, slower this time. Yeah, it does. Denise's eyes widened. What? The house, he repeated. It's in Malik's name. Has been since Mom and Dad passed. They set it up that way. I stood there, calm, while everything around me shifted. Kiara lowered her phone. Damon ripped off his headset. You're joking, Damon said. My dad sighed through the phone. They did it to protect him, in case something ever happened. Denise was still frozen. So this whole time? Yup, I said. I've been living in my house. I looked around the room, and now that we all know the truth, there are going to be some changes. Starting real soon. I turned to leave, letting the silence hang heavy behind me. Denise's face was still stuck between confusion and panic. And me? I felt lighter than I had in years. The next morning started quiet, too quiet. No snarky comments from Denise. No cereal bowl left for me to wash. Not even Kiara's usual screech laugh echoing down the hall. Just this strange, still tension, like the house itself was holding its breath. I headed to the kitchen, still trying to wake up, when I heard my name. Malik's not thinking clearly, Denise was saying. Her voice floated down the hallway, sharp and hushed, like she was trying not to be overheard. I froze. She was on the phone. Speakerphone. You need to talk to him, she said. Convince him to transfer the house. Or at least get him to leave for school. Somewhere out of state. My stomach dropped. He needs space, she continued. Distance. A change of environment would be good for him. Denise. My dad's voice was tired. He always sounded tired now. We can't force him out. We don't have to force anything, she said quickly. We just help him realize he needs to go. Look, I can talk to one of the agents at Maplewood Tech, get him an interview or something. Once he's out, we can handle the rest. Handle the rest? My dad repeated. Denise. He's not unstable. He's just pissed. Denise sighed like she was the only rational person in the world. He's erratic. He embarrassed all of us. He needs to grow up somewhere else. I'm trying to help. That's when I pulled out my phone and hit record. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Just stood there, heart pounding, capturing every word. She kept going. If he leaves, things go back to normal. Damon can focus on streaming. Kiara gets her routine back. And you and I, well, we stop living with a ticking time bomb. She actually said that. A ticking time bomb. My dad didn't reply right away. He just muttered something about looking into it, and the line went quiet. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, stepped forward, and walked into the kitchen like I hadn't heard a thing. Denise jumped when she saw me. Oh, Malik, didn't hear you coming down. She was all smiles again, like she hadn't just plotted to exile me from my own house. Morning, I said casually. I walked over to the fridge, grabbed the milk, poured a bowl of cereal like everything was fine. She hovered near the counter, watching me, waiting to see if I was going to say something. But I didn't. I kept my face blank, calm. I even offered her the milk when I was done. You good? I asked. I steady. She forced a smile. Of course, just long night. I nodded and sat down. But in my head, I was already planning the counterattack. She thought she was 2 steps ahead, but I had the recording, the proof, the house. And now, finally, I had the power. The next morning, I came to breakfast dressed like I had somewhere important to be. Clean jeans, fresh tea, jacket zipped halfway, no grease stains, no hoodie, just calm, collected. Malik with a plan in motion. Denise was at the table with her laptop, sipping coffee like she hadn't tried to send me off to another state less than 24 hours ago. Damon was shoveling cereal in his mouth, half asleep. Kiara sat nearby scrolling through her phone with her nails clicking like a metronome. I poured myself a cup of coffee and took my seat like this was any other day. You know, I said after a long sip, I've been thinking about that rent idea. Denise perked up, instantly alert. Oh, you have? I nodded. Yeah, you're right. Everyone should contribute. It's only fair. Damon froze mid-chew. Kiara looked up. Denise smiled like a snake with a mouse in sight. Exactly. I'm glad you see it that way. So, I continued, I put together a proposal. I reached into my backpack, pulled out a folder, and laid it flat on the table. Denise blinked. A proposal? She repeated. Rent, I said smoothly. Starting next month, everyone pays $1,200, plus utilities, plus a $500 security deposit for any damages. Damon choked on his cereal. Kiara's phone slipped from her hand and clattered on the table. Denise laughed like I had just told a dumb joke. Malik, that's ridiculous. Is it? I opened the folder and slid the printed documents across the table. Here's the breakdown. Utilities split 3 ways, since I won't be using the central AC when I'm at school or work. And since you've all made this a rental arrangement, I figured I'd act accordingly. Kiara's mouth opened and closed. Damon rubbed his face. Denise didn't touch the paper. You're joking, she said. Her tone flat now. I leaned back. Nope, I'm the legal owner, remember? I double-checked with a lawyer last night. That was true. I'd even had the call transcribed. Everything was in motion. This is absurd. Denise snapped. You don't charge family rent like this. I smiled. You said it yourself. I'm just another adult in the house. Time to pull my weight, right? Damon looked like he wanted to melt into his chair. Kiara stared at her phone screen like it would save her. Denise stood, palms flat on the table. This is an ambush, she hissed. No, I said, voice low and steady. This is a mirror. And then I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and tapped play. Her voice filled the kitchen. Convince him to transfer the house. We just help him realize he needs to go. He's erratic. A ticking time bomb. The room went still. Denise's face went red. That's illegal. It's not. I cut in. Texas is a one-party consent state. Look it up. She lunged toward me, but I stepped back. Still recording. Keep going, I said quietly. Let the lawyer hear it all. Denise was shaking now. You little bastard. Language, I said, slipping my phone back into my jacket. There are ladies present. Damon and Kiara sat frozen, like they didn't know which direction to run. I finished my coffee, stood, and looked around the table. Rent's due on the 1st, I said, or eviction notices go out on the 2nd. Then I walked out, calm as ever, while behind me the house finally started to crack. They didn't pay. Of course they didn't. Not on the 1st. Not on the 2nd. Nothing but icy glares and slammed doors. Denise stopped pretending to be civil altogether. Kiara barely made eye contact. And Damon? He avoided me like I was radioactive. That morning, I made myself breakfast in full silence. Scrambled eggs, toast, black coffee. I sat at the table with my laptop open, casually scrolling through housing court procedures while Denise paced the kitchen like a caged animal behind me. You're not seriously doing this, she finally snapped. I didn't look up. Already did. You're kicking your own family out? I took a sip of coffee. You said we're all just adults now. Adults handle consequences. She huffed. This is heartless. I glanced over. No, this is boundaries. Damon came in, wearing pajama pants and a hoodie, looking like he hadn't slept. Yo, he said, rubbing his eyes. Can we talk? I nodded. Sure. He scratched the back of his neck. 1200 steep. Man, I'm about to make it big on Twitch. Got a collab coming. I just need time. How long you been about to make it? I asked, not unkindly. His mouth opened, then closed. Kiara appeared next, holding her phone with tears in her eyes. You're bullying us, she said, sniffling. You're literally trying to make us homeless for content. I frowned. What? She turned the screen. My followers are freaking out. This is toxic behavior. You're tearing this family apart. Denise stepped forward, voice rising. You should be ashamed of yourself. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me? I asked, louder this time. Besides chores and manipulation? She gasped. We gave you a home. You mean the one my grandparents bought? I said, standing now. The one I own? You little bastard, she growled, face red with rage. This is my home. I built this family, and no piece of paper changes that. I pulled out my phone again. Just a reminder, I said calmly, tapping the screen. You're being recorded. She froze. Her face twitched like she wanted to say something vile but couldn't risk it. I've already spoken to a lawyer, I added. All the paperwork is filed. You'll be served soon. Any threats or outbursts will go straight into the file. Damon stormed out of the room, muttering. Kiara slammed a cabinet door and locked herself in the bathroom. Denise stood across from me, hand shaking, voice cracking. I took care of this house. I cooked, I cleaned, I held this family together. I nodded slowly, and I let it happen. But that ends now. She stepped back like I had hit her. I returned to my seat, took another bite of toast, didn't say a word. Let the silence do the work. This was no longer their kingdom, and I was no longer the servant. 3 days later, the eviction notices were delivered, printed, signed, notarized, and slid under every bedroom door. One for Denise, one for Damon, one for Kiara. I taped copies to the fridge, too, just in case someone wanted to pretend they never saw it. I'd gone down to the courthouse, sat through a consultation, and filed everything by the book. I wasn't about to give them anything to argue. No loopholes. No technicalities. Just dates, signatures, and the ticking clock of a 30-day notice. The morning after the papers hit, the house felt radioactive. Kiara didn't come out of her room. Damon stomped through the hallway like he was auditioning for a tantrum. And Denise? She went into full PR meltdown. She started with Facebook. Feeling heartbroken was the first post. Then a dramatic photo of her hugging Kiara, captioned, trying to stay strong. Some people forget what family means when power goes to their head. Next came a string of vague comments. Some people need to look in the mirror. We opened our home to him. You think you know someone. But what she didn't expect was the pushback. Cousin Aaliyah replied, didn't Malik's grandparents buy that house though? And put it in his name? Uncle Charles added, didn't he pay for college on his own while working? How is he the villain? Even a friend of hers, some real estate coworker with frosted tips and a diet coffee addiction, wrote, I'd get out while it's legal. Judges don't play with title owners. She deleted the post within an hour, but the damage was done. Next came Damon's spiral. I heard the crash first, then the scream. I walked into the living room to find his gaming chair in pieces. Literally, foam, screws, plastic wheels all over the floor like some sad tech autopsy. You happy now? He barked, pacing. Not especially, I said. He threw up his hands. You ruined everything. You want to evict us? Fine. Good luck finding another roommate who'll let you live in peace. I leaned against the wall. I already live in peace. That's the problem for you. He glared at me. You think you're better than us? I didn't respond. He knew the answer. The next morning, Kiara went live on Instagram, crying, blubbering, using every filter available. My life is falling apart, she sobbed to 2,300 viewers. This is supposed to be a safe space. I've been bullied, gaslit, evicted. The comment section exploded. Some people offered support. Others weren't so kind. Someone named it Truthleys wrote, wait, didn't y'all live rent-free for years? Another asked, how do you get evicted from your stepbrother's house and still have Wi-Fi? She ended the stream after 20 minutes and posted a quote on her story, never bite the hand that feeds you. Irony lost on her, of course. Then came the last straw. I got home from work, and the front door was slightly cracked open. I walked inside and something felt off. Quiet. Still. I checked my room. Nothing touched. Then I stepped into the hallway closet, where I'd stored the last of my mom's things. Jewelry box, her old leather-bound planner, a perfume bottle she used to wear on Sundays. The box was open. One of the drawers had been rifled through. I went straight to the security footage, rewound, clicked through, and there she was, Denise, opening the closet, checking over her shoulder, then pocketing something before walking away. I called the police. Didn't press charges. Not yet. But I filed the report, added the footage to the eviction file, and made damn sure there was now a record. When the officer asked if I wanted to prosecute, I said, not today. But Denise saw the patrol car in the driveway, saw the report in my hand. She didn't say a word, just turned and walked upstairs like her bones had aged 20 years in a minute. I wasn't bluffing anymore. They all knew it. And this time, the clock was running out for real. Moving day came exactly 30 days after the notices were delivered. It was humid, overcast, and the kind of Texas heat that wraps around your neck like a wet towel. I didn't care. I was already at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and waiting. At 9 a.m. sharp, the moving crew I'd hired pulled into the driveway, 2 trucks for guys in uniforms, all professional, all prepaid. No one in this house was going to slow roll their exit or need another week. I was done negotiating. I stood and called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. Movers are here. That got their attention. Damon came stumbling out of his room, hair wild, shirtless. Wait, what? Kiara followed, still in pajamas, mascara smudged like she'd cried through the night. Denise stormed out of the master bedroom, already in full makeup and wedge heels, holding a piece of paper. I was going to give a speech, she said, lips tight, about choosing to leave with dignity. I took a sip of coffee. Guess you'll have to post it instead. The movers knocked. I opened the door and stepped aside. Everything from the back bedrooms and the master. Don't touch anything labeled in red. Each room I'd claimed for myself had been marked already. Office, gym, studio. Everything else? Free game. Wait, Kiara cried as one mover unplugged her ring light. Be careful with that. That's my brand. She started filming. Damon started yelling. Yo, I got sensitive equipment, man. My whole setup's in there. You had 30 days, I said. I gave you a printed checklist. Denise marched into the hallway, arms out like she was commanding troops. No one touches my grandmother's credenza. The movers looked at me. Storage unit, I said. Everything goes there. Address is on the invoice. But it's my credenza, she snapped. I smiled. And the unit will be under your name. You'll get the key when you're out. They didn't get it at first. How serious I was. Not until the sheriff pulled up 10 minutes later. A plain-looking guy in a beige uniform, sunglasses on, clipboard in hand, calm and official. He nodded at me. Mr. Thomas? That's me. He turned to the rest. I'm here to oversee the court-sanctioned removal of unauthorized tenants. No one's being arrested. Just making sure it's peaceful. Denise's jaw dropped. You brought a sheriff? I shrugged. Standard procedure. That's when the chaos peaked. Damon scrambled to pack cables. Kiara tried to squeeze 6 boxes of shoes into one plastic bin. Denise ran around the house muttering about lawsuits and betrayal and, after everything I did for this family. And me? I refilled my coffee. Then I stood on the porch with the sheriff, arms folded, watching the whole scene like it was a live show. Movers hauling out boxes. Denise frantically wrapping glassware in paper towels. Damon yelling about thermal paste and memory cards. Kiara sobbing over her ruined aesthetic. Is it always this dramatic? The sheriff asked. I smiled. Only when the wrong people think they're in charge. By noon, the house was quiet again. Half empty, but for the first time in years, peaceful. And as the trucks rolled away and Denise's SUV disappeared down the street, I sat back down at the kitchen table, took another sip, and let it all sink in. They were gone. For real this time. The house felt different the moment the door shut behind them. It wasn't just the silence, though that was golden. It was the air itself. Lighter, still, like something heavy had been lifted off the walls, off the floor, off my chest. They were gone. Denise, Damon, Kiara, gone to couch surf at various relatives' houses. If the rumors were true, Denise had apparently tried staying with her cousin in spring, but that lasted less than a week. Damon ended up in some friend's garage, probably still trying to build his brand. Kiara, last I heard, was posting cryptic breakup-style videos on Instagram about starting over and knowing your worth, all while quietly begging followers to Venmo her for equipment repairs. Their social reputations took a hit. People talk, especially when your eviction plays out in full view of your online audience. Meanwhile, I got to work, room by room. I took it all back. The master bedroom became mine again, stripped of the fake gold accents and scented candles Denise used to clutter every surface. I cleared it out, repainted it navy and gray, bought myself a new mattress, and for the first time in years, slept without headphones on. Damon's former gaming cave turned into a study. Clean white desk, mounted monitors, and a bookshelf with all my engineering textbooks and notebooks. A place that felt like mine, not borrowed, not tolerated. Kiara's pastel pink Instagram sanctuary, now a music room. I bought myself a used keyboard, set up some sound panels, and even found my mom's old stereo in the attic. Hooked it up, let it play vinyl while I worked. Felt like she was with me again. I fixed the leaky faucet in the kitchen, repaired the back fence, mowed the lawn without muttering curses under my breath. I even opened the windows, let air in, let it breathe. My dad called me 2 weeks later. First time in months he reached out on his own. Said he was staying with Denise's sister for now, but that things were complicated. His voice was softer than I remembered, smaller. He asked how I was doing. I said I was fine. He asked if I ever thought about the bigger picture, asked if I could see both sides now. I didn't say much, just listened. Then he said he might be coming by to pick up some old tools. I told him he could text me a time, and if I was home, I'd let him in. That was it. No arguments, no yelling, just distance, the kind I needed. A week after that, I called Sandra, my mom's best friend, the one who used to braid my hair when I was a kid and sneak me ginger cookies when no one was looking. She was retired now, living in a small apartment across town. I invited her to move in, help me bring back some warmth to the place. She said yes. The day she arrived, she hugged me tight, looked around, and smiled. Feels like your mother in here, she said softly. I nodded. It's home now, I told her, and I meant it.